Hello and welcome to the 11th of the 11th. It is officially 11:11 here in Switzerland. And we are just going to spend the next half an hour, 45 minutes tapping into this magic, this opportunity for new beginnings, for a fresh start, for really clearing out and getting ready for that new start, that clean slate of how we want to step further forwards. Excuse me, you can probably hear a little bit of a cold. I think it's going around at the moment. So before we begin, I just want you to place your feet on the floor and sit up nice and straight. If you're sat in a bed, you can support yourself with the back of the wall. And just taking a few deep breaths just to land into the space. So make sure that you're breathing into your lower belly, not allowing your shoulders to rise. And as you exhale, just make sure that you're really exhaling every last bit. So you're not pausing halfway through, you're just almost squeezing your belly to the back of your spine, just really squeezing out anything that's left. We really want to not hold on to anything. We just want to clear everything out. So breathing in, maybe holding for a couple of seconds. You can engage and tighten your root and your perineum, allowing the energy to rise up through your body from that point. And as you exhale, you can exhale out through your mouth or your nose, just really, really exhaling, pushing all of that last breath out. One more time. And you can exhale with a sigh or a noise. So you can gently open your eyes and come back to the space. So I'm just going to speak a little bit about what 11:11 really means and what it means for me. And it might resonate with you, it may not. I just want you to take what works for you and leave the rest behind. It's absolutely fine. And notice if you've already got a pen and paper out. Can you just sit and listen? You've got the replay of this. You don't need to rush anything. You can just sit in the magic of this 11:11 portal. And it was interesting because I pulled 3 cards for this call just before. And what came up was they all fell out at the same time. And I kind of asked, are they all 3 for us, or is it just one? And what I'd actually like you to do is just ask your angels, your intuition, your support team, whoever it is, to tell you which card is relevant for you. 1, 2, or 3. And maybe all 3 numbers come up for you, maybe just 1, maybe 2. That's absolutely fine. We're going to go through each one, so you'll hear all of them anyway, or you can skip if you're watching the replay to the next ones. But number 1 is forge, don't follow. So just looking at that card, for me, it's interesting because this is something that came up with a client yesterday as well. It's this boundary. For me, that is the most obvious thing about this card that's really jumping out. It is almost the underworld and the physical world, or the more spiritual world, whatever you associate. And for me, it's this line between, the spiritual world, then the earth and the planet that we're living on, and then also potentially the underworld as well, and more of the shadow side of things. So for me, it's very much, this card is like going from the dark into the light. So again, it's the new beginnings, it's forging a new path. And it says, pave a new path, be the leader you wish you had. And I think we can all agree that at the moment, the world is going through a very tumultuous time. And we do need new leaders. We do need new ways, new systems of living, because clearly things aren't working as they are. And more people are getting, what's the word I'm looking for? Discouraged, disillusioned by our leaders at the moment. And rather than getting angry, rather than frustration and resentment and potential, this anger building up, how can you be the leader in your own life and pave the way? How can you act? How can you respond to people? How can you interact with people in the way that you wish our leaders did? Because if we don't start doing it ourselves, no one else is going to do it for us. And we need to start stepping into what we want to see changed in the world. We can't just let it happen externally. We can't just wait for someone else to do it for us. We have to fully step into this new power, this new role that we're all here to play in creating this new earth, this new world. And for me, it's this line is, as I mentioned before, talking about with a client yesterday, it's this middle part of our body. It's our solar plexus. Our solar plexus is the center of our main 7 chakras. So we have the 3, the crown, the third eye, and the throat, and the heart. So we actually have 4 there. And then we've got the solar plexus kind of in that middle, just, you can see, just here, just below the sternum. And then we have the sacral and the root. And for some people, the heart feels like the connection between the top half of the body and the bottom half of the body. But for me, it's really the solar plexus. The solar plexus is the connection to the more spiritual. It's the connection to your intuition. It's the connection to your source energy, your connection to universe. Whereas my sacral and my root are much more connected to the earth. They are, as well as our earth star chakra, which is 7 or 8 feet below our feet. And that is really our connection to the earth. That is really our connection to the human experience that we are here to experience, And as we start to step into these new roles, these new leaders, and don't get me wrong, you don't need to start thinking about running for president. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, in your life, can you be the leader of your own life? Can you take that control? Can you take that role of a leader in your own life? And our solar plexus is the source of our power. And so many addictions and disorders come from this lack of connection to our solar plexus, lack of connection to our own power. And so many of us, especially if you're on this call, you're probably incredibly empathetic. You probably can pick up on everyone else's emotions and take them on as your own. And that is also releasing your power. And it's not allowing everything else to be absorbed into you for you then to get exhausted. We are meant to stay within our own power. We are meant to stay within our own source energy and really just be with that energy and notice what isn't ours, what keeps coming in, what am I picking up on, and releasing it. It is not ours to take on the emotions of every single other person. It's not our responsibility. As much as we think it is, especially as empaths, I fully resonate with this. It's taken me a long time to be able to step back and be like, hey, this isn't mine. And I can, of course, help that person. I can assist in whatever way I can. However, it's not my responsibility to fix them. And that's the difference. It is not taking on all of their emotions. I mean, I remember one scenario where one of my friends was about to have a conversation with someone, and she was so anxious, she was so nervous, and I just said, hold my hand. And this was before I realized I could do energy work and things. And I just said, hold my hands. And she held my hand, and it was literally like I felt all of her anxiety just fall and come into my body. And I started like shaking, and I was like, okay, go. And she's like, oh, I feel so much calmer now. But I was a mess. And it was really, really interesting, because at that time I didn't know how to release that. I didn't know that actually it's not my responsibility to actually physically take that energy away from her, because again, that is also a discredit to her. That is that I don't believe that she can handle it, and I'll just take it on myself. And actually that is disempowering those people around us. If we are constantly in this fixer mode, we are going to fall into this trap of, and they're going to fall into the trap of, you're always going to be there to fix it without being able to do it themselves. And then it's a very heavy and long process of starting to put your boundaries in, and them not really understanding why you've always been there for me, and actually learning how to show that you can be there for someone in very different ways. So for me, this forge, don't follow is be the leader of your own life. Be the leader that we wish we had at the moment around the world. And just watch the ripple effects. Watch as you become more in your power, more connected to your solar plexus, more connected to this boundary between kind of the more spiritual and also the earth experience, which can at the moment be very shadowy, very dark. And it's very easy to run away and escape into the light and the spiritual side of things, when actually we are souls having a human experience, and we need to be here on this earth. So it's just really maintaining that connection to your solar plexus, to your own power, to your own energy. And there's of course different ways of clearing your energy and everything, which actually I'm going to post a document about that. There's just different techniques that I've collected over time that can help you clear and ground your energy. And at the end of the day, it's grounding. It is really grounding, noticing what is yours, noticing what isn't. I could go on and on, but I'm going to go on to card number 2. So this is interesting considering the other 2 cards. And yeah, if this one came up for you, I'd be really interested to hear how you kind of resonate with this. And the card is wait. So I know a lot of people, if you've picked this card and you'd be like, oh, for the love of us. So it says, it's not time yet. Things are being woven. And it's interesting because it's almost such a contradiction to the forge, don't follow card. And as I was sat looking at this, it was, yeah, really interesting, because I remember when I used to pick this card and it would fall out and I would get so frustrated. Oh, so frustrated, because I would think, no, I need to do things now. I'm in this situation. I want to get out of it. I need to launch that thing. I need to go and do that thing because it's going to get me to this place. And this was such a big reflection for me. This was such a big wake up call every time, because every time I would pick it and get triggered, I'd be like, okay, well, clearly I'm doing something not from my intuition, not from my intuitive guidance, but from a place of fear, of scarcity, of lack. So, for example, launching a program or launching a new course or coaching or whatever it was. And I would feel I put a lot of pressure on myself. Work in progress is getting there. And actually, this was such a big wake up and a big like slap in the face every time I got it. And the more triggered I got, the more I realized I had things to work on. And for this card, it is about trust. It is so much about falling into that trust and surrender. And when I say surrender, it's not this, when you see a puppy with a bigger dog and the puppy just goes, oh, like, okay, I'm out. Like, you're the boss, you're the leader. It's not that. Surrender is this falling into trust, for me anyway. It's continuing to really tune into my intuition, continuing to really take the steps forward, but knowing that I'm not going to be able to figure out, or I'm not going to understand why I'm doing those things, and just taking the steps and not thinking I need to do every single thing on my list because it's been on my list forever. It is really about breaking things down. It is really about narrowing and just focusing on one thing at a time and just trusting that it's all going to fall into place. And the more that we force things, the more that the frustration builds up, the more chance of burnout, the more anger and resentment we have when potentially it doesn't work out, right? And the fact that it says things are being woven, there is so much that we do not know that is going on behind the scenes. We don't know who we're going to run into tomorrow, or what new person we're going to meet, or what email we're going to receive. There is so much outside of our own little bubble that we simply do not know about. Just think about maybe a job opportunity that just came up, that not at the moment, but maybe in the past, or you received an email from someone, or you bumped into someone, and at the beginning of the day, you had absolutely no idea that maybe they existed, that role existed. And it's having that trust that if you are really doing your best to stay in alignment, to keep your nervous system calm, to look after yourself, you can trust that the universe is going to support you. And yes, at this time, it is really, really hard, especially with the kind of external factors that are going on at the moment, with prices going up, inflation. I mean, that's the same thing, but with potentially finding a home is more difficult. And it's what I really had to do with this process is, can I trust that if I am meant to be in that place, if I am meant to meet that person, if I am meant to work in that job, then it will happen and I will be supported. And it's interesting because I think for me, whenever this card came up, the pressure that I had put on myself was through and due to money. I would be doing stuff because I'd be like, I need money now. I'm about to hit this amount of money in my bank account. I don't want to go lower than that, or I'm going to hit zero, and it would be this, again, that coming from a place of lack, of scarcity. And that is a very, if you think about that, that is a very constricted, that is a very hard place to be. And it's like, if this potentially is our spine, our nervous system, as soon as we start to relax, energy can start to flow, right, up and down through your body. But if we are tight and constricted, if we feel tension within our body, if we've suddenly got knots, if we're feeling achy, then can we release that control? And obviously there's so many different techniques of doing that. Just simply lying on the floor and putting a very calming song on. It doesn't need to be anything more than that. And so it's interesting that this card came up on 11/11 today, because yes, absolutely, it's a time of new beginnings and fresh starts. And at the same time, being aware of things take time. Things do take time. And if you can use this day to set an intention, plant the seed for something for the next 6-12 months, and know that you don't have to do everything today. You don't have to go out and do everything on your list today because that's the intention that you set. No, maybe it's just this time to, hey, things are happening, trust that it's going to happen, and take a moment just to calm down so that when all of the things start to happening, you can start to embrace it. You can start to really sit with it, hold that energy, and be able to hold that energy so it then again doesn't rush away, right? I think we've all kind of been in situations where we have that moment of, oh my God, this is actually happening. And then it all collapses. And for me, it's because we can't physically hold that energy. So a practice that I do is I imagine the thing out in front of me, the thing that I want, the person that I want to meet, or the opportunity that I want to create or manifest in my life. I see it out in front of me and I notice how my body reacts to that. So, for example, I want this community to just keep growing and growing and growing. And it's an interesting game because you can almost hold it out in front of you or just visualize it. You don't have to put your hands out. And I see it in a gold ball, and I almost see the act or the scene playing out in front of me. And I notice, okay, if I think there's 100 people in this community, how does my body react to that? And it's such a huge signal to, oh, does it start to get anxious? Does it start to get nervous? Does it start to get hot and, oh God? Or do I feel really calm? And you can always, like, especially if it's with numbers or maybe with different characteristics or things, you can almost like play with it and add more and more things in it and just see where your boundary is, where your limit is of, okay, that's the point that I don't feel comfortable anymore. Can I focus on my body, calm my nervous system, and then notice, okay, it's feeling okay now. And at the end of this practice, when I feel like I've kind of got to my point that I want to get to at that point, I just imagine this amazing gold energy with the scene inside coming into my solar plexus and then just spreading out through my body. So that energy is just expanding and it's allowing time to integrate into my body. So I think that is also something that this card is bringing up. Use this time to really allow yourself to get ready. Allow yourself to get ready for the things that are coming to you. And yeah. Okay, number 3. Again, interesting with all the different cards, but number 3, I think this is a lot of people's favorites, is jump in. Andromedan energy, adventure, and say yes to change. So if you picked all 3 of these cards, I'd be really, really interested to see kind of how you resonate with all of these. And jump in. It's someone diving into an eye. It's something that is, for me, this card is the looking inwards and looking outwards. So when we think of an eye, it is the very physical, is what we can see. It's the very logical things. Okay, yeah. And for me, this card is jump into the things that don't make any sense. Okay. Jump into and trust your intuition. Jump into things that scare you. Adventure. There's adventure is a adventure. Great. But adventure for me is there's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of things that I don't know about. There's a lot of things that you cannot plan. And that is what this card is saying to me. If your intuition is guiding you somewhere, do it. Go and just say, excuse my French, fuck it. Just see what happens. And if it's potentially a very big change, it's potentially a small change, whatever it is, see, just can you know what? We only live once. My intuition is leading me here. I need to go and do this. Okay. That is, don't overthink it. Don't start getting into your mind. Don't start getting into the logical, physical world. Trust again. I mean, my clients and I'm sure my podcast listeners as well are like, yes, we know, Walla, trust. But so much of it is about trust. I mean, all of it's about trust. And if you are going through something right now that is really testing you and this opportunity has come up, say yes. If you pulled this card, say yes to it. Nothing is forever. Oh, there we go. Nothing is forever. Go and enjoy yourself. Go and say yes to something completely new. Again, oh, excuse me. As we said, 11/11, a start, new beginnings, fresh slate, something brand new. Go and do it. And I don't think there's anything else more to say about that. Follow and trust your intuition. Keep building that trust with your intuition. And I think next month's workshop, I'm going to do a workshop on how to start listening, trusting, hearing your intuition. There's so many different layers to it. So we've got number 1, forge. Don't follow that focus on the balance between the earth and our spiritual, and our earthly experience, which is quite shadowy and dark at the moment. How can we connect the two? Regaining our power, regaining and being the leader that we want to be in our lives and allowing it to ripple out. Number 2 was wait. So trust. Use this time to really look after yourself, to really embrace the energy that is coming into you so that when it does come to you, you can hold it and it doesn't all just rush away. So it might be an interesting task to kind of look at any leaks in your body. So a technique that I use with my clients is kind of pouring energy into your body and just noticing where it's leaking out. And the final one is jump in. Say yes to change and adventure. So a new beginning, a new start. So I'd be really, really interested to hear which card you picked. You don't have to share anything else, but just writing a little number or sending me an email or writing it in the chat as well. Which card did you select, or 2 or 3? Okay. And I love those for 11/11, this new beginning. And we've also got a new moon on Monday. So this new moon signals and signifies the end of the eclipse season. So we had the first eclipse at the last new moon, and then we had the next eclipse at the full moon. And now, because one full moon cycle is kind of from the new moon to the new moon again, we're kind of closing that. So really, if your last month has been incredibly hard, incredibly tough, reflect on it. See what was coming up. So the eclipse season, I love eclipse season because it really does up level you. You're not going to be the same person if you really take the time, if you really sit with the things that are coming up and not push them away. Then you're going to enter post eclipse season in a very different energy. And oh, my voice is really going today. And use this new moon to really, okay, what came up for me in that eclipse season? What was so uncomfortable? What did I not want to sit with? What stories, what beliefs, what ick came up? And can you just say, enough? I am done with that. We are stepping into a new version. So today, 11/11, before the new moon, is just a beautiful time to really reflect and really just journal, or you can voice note yourself, or you can call a friend and share whatever, or you can send it to me, or whatever you want to do. Just notice and take this time, because we're still in the waning energies. This isn't a time for particular action. That will be the new moon. So just really taking this time to set some boundaries with yourself. How did you lose yourself in the last month? And yeah, give yourself some tenderness, some love this weekend. We've got a lot of energies this weekend. I follow a brilliant astrologer on Substack. I will share her kind of weekly digest of what's happening in the planets this week. And this weekend is really about resting, taking your time, noticing your voice, your communication. There we go. Forgot that. Thank you very much. And noticing what words you're using, how you're communicating with others. And yeah, it's kind of a spicy time at the moment. So just be careful with what you're saying. Just, yeah, think, would I like to be spoken like that? Or would I want to be spoken to like that? And yeah, be compassionate this weekend. Enjoy yourselves, of course, but rest. Trust that the rest is productive, that if you take some time to yourself, it is for a good reason, because your body needs it. And our body, more than anything, is the most important thing. Our health is crucial for us to shine as brightly as we can. And yeah, listen to your body, listen to your intuition. I'm so grateful that you're all here. And for anyone watching the replay, please let me know how you're feeling. You obviously have the meditation for November, and the self-inquiry prompts all centered around love and how we can give more love to ourselves, to those around us, and even the wider community of the people that we don't know. So yeah, thank you so much for being here, and also for the first call of the exploration space. I'm so excited. I feel great. I've done this on 11/11. Feels like, right, this is the beginning of a new chapter for me as well, holding the space. And it's something that I've wanted to create and grow for a very long time, a community, especially an online community. Hopefully we'll be able to meet in person. I mean, I've got a few retreats coming up, so I will be sharing more details about that soon. So I'm very excited about that. And yeah, just bringing together people that potentially, like me, are traveling around a lot, maybe don't have access to moon circles or different groups in person. And yeah, this is why this space is here, because it is an interesting time at the moment, and we all need to be there for each other and support each other and know that we're not alone. And as my bag says, I've just noticed, where is it? Choose love. So on that note, happy 11/11. Breathe in this new fresh energy, go for a walk, just embrace fresh air, and imagine just cleansing yourself. And I will also attach that document into Substack on the page for November, for clearing your energy. And yeah, I'm so grateful for you here live and for you watching the replay. And you'll have access to this whenever you want. And so if you want to come back at any time, it is all in the archive once the month finishes. So I'm sending you all so much love. Well, thank you so much.